Heartbreak, astonishment, and deep reflection are the lingering emotions that wash over me after researching and learning about more than 100 Black public figures connected to the severe prices artists had to pay in exchange for the brilliant halo of fame. Hello everyone, we are our Memory Vault, and this is the video 15 Black R&B female singers who were actually prostitutes. This greatly impacts how we view the value of freedom, human dignity, and the dark sides of the old-era entertainment industry, and it might just leave you stunned. This video is perfect to play while you are resting, enjoying a meal with your family, or doing chores around the house. All the information in this video has been carefully researched and gathered from multiple sources. If there are any oversights, please leave a comment below to help our channel continue to grow. Please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and ring the notification bell to receive updates on our latest videos. Now let us step right into the stories of our first figures. Aretha Franklin. When mentioning the Queen of Soul, the world often bows before a powerful voice, a symbol of authority and pride. Aretha Franklin was not just a singer. She was the voice of an entire generation, the soul of the American civil rights movement. Yet if we quiet our minds to look behind the soaring high notes and glamorous dresses on stage, we will see a reality filled with control and profound trauma. Aretha's life is clear proof that sometimes innate talent becomes a trap when it falls into the hands of those seeking to profit. Right from the time she was a 14-year-old girl following her father, Reverend C.L. Franklin, on gospel music tours, Aretha was pushed into a highly complex environment. Instead of being protected in the arms of her family, she was turned into a tool to connect and create influence among the elite. Through the lens of psychological analysis, a child having to face the pressures and manipulation of adults too early created fractures in her soul that no halo could ever fill. Her career began not with complete willingness, but as a coercive arrangement from those guiding her. Her later marriage to Ted White also did not bring a peaceful haven. On the contrary, it was merely a transfer of control from father to husband. The traces of physical mistreatment were skillfully concealed under elegant outfits, but her eyes on stage sometimes still revealed a lingering sadness. The peak of philosophical irony is the song Respect. When the whole world sang this song loudly as a manifesto of feminism and self-esteem, few knew it was Aretha's own desperate inner voice, a woman yearning to have the most basic respect right in her own home. She used personal pain to light up hope for millions, but the price she paid was an inner life filled with isolation and memories she wished to forget. Tina Turner. Tina Turner is forever hailed as the Queen of Rock and Roll, a symbol of burning energy and an indomitable will. The image of her striding on stage with powerful legs and wild hair has become legendary. However, behind that explosion was a 2-decade-long story of manipulation, suppression, and ultimate fear. Tina's story brings a profound lesson about the bravery of a woman when she dared to shed all the glamour in exchange for the freedom of her soul. Starting her career beside Ike Turner seemed like a life-changing dream for the young girl Anna Mae Bullock. Yet that dream quickly turned into a living nightmare. Ike was not just a teacher and manager, but the ruler of every aspect of her life. From a career analysis perspective, the success of the duo Ike and Tina Turner was built on a foundation riddled with injustice. Every radiant smile Tina showed to the camera was sometimes just a desperate effort to hide the mental and physical distress caused by Ike's authoritarianism. She was stripped of the ownership of her very own name, becoming a product in the hands of the man she once trusted. The decision to run away one night in 1976 with a mere 36 cents in her pocket was a fateful moment. It was not just an escape, but a human rebirth. Tina accepted losing entirely the career wealth and fame she had painstakingly built in exchange for one single thing, the right to be herself. Her brilliant return in the 80s was not just a musical victory, but a testament to a great philosophy. True halos do not come from coercion, but shine from a free soul that has overcome adversity. Tina Turner is precisely the lighthouse for those trapped in the chains of manipulation, teaching us that it is never too late to take back your life. The rise of Tina Turner may light up hope, but the harsh hidden corner behind the crystal-clear voice of the jazz monument in the next position will surely leave you heartbroken. Please do not look away, as the backstage secrets are still waiting to be uncovered. Ella Fitzgerald, dubbed the First Lady of Song. Ella Fitzgerald possessed a voice as clear as crystal and a masterful improvisational ability that reshaped the global jazz scene. Her life was a journey from a homeless girl on the streets of Harlem, reaching the pinnacle of worldwide admiration. However, to get the opportunity to stand on her first professional stage at the Apollo Theater, Ella had to cross a turning point full of irony regarding professional ethics that the entertainment world of that era set for young black artists. The amateur performance night in 1934 was a historical milestone, yet behind that brilliant victory was a truth rarely mentioned. To officially join the ranks of the famous Chick Webb Band, Ella had to face severe transactional demands from those holding backstage power. Through a sociological lens, the entertainment environment of the 1930s was an unforgiving world for poor and unprotected women. A young girl with no one to rely on, having to accept silent compromises to secure an official performance spot is a tragedy of the system rather than a personal fault. For many years after that, despite achieving countless successes with hits like A Tisket, A Tasket, Ella always kept her private life incredibly discreet, even distant. That stillness seemed to be her way of protecting herself from the less than happy memories of her early days in the profession. She chose to use her exquisite music to drown out the echoes of the past. The story of Ella Fitzgerald brings a deep reflection on trade-offs. Sometimes, to obtain a launchpad that changes one's destiny, a person is forced to accept scars upon their soul. She remains forever a symbol of extraordinary effort, but also a reminder of the hidden corners that black women had to overcome to have their talent recognized by the world. Billie Holiday. Billie Holiday is the embodiment of the sorrow named jazz. Every musical note she sang seemed to carry the breath of heartbreak resistance and a deeply wounded soul. Her song, Strange Fruit, was not just a musical work, but a manifesto against severe racial injustice. Yet the greatest tragedy for Lady Day did not only come from society, but from the very men who walked through her life, those who exploited her talent and vulnerability for personal gain. Billie's life was a continuous chain of manipulation stretching from her teenage years. Being pushed into complex environments from a very young age shaped a mindset that constantly yearned for love but was easily hurt. Through the lens of psychology, those early traumas turned her into an easy target for authoritarian agents and managers. They did not see her as an artist needing shelter, but as a commodity capable of generating profit. To secure her first recording contracts, Billie had to face harsh demands involving the compromise of her dignity, a dark reality of the entertainment industry at the time. Her later drift into negative habits was actually just a way for her to escape a reality full of oppression. The controlling figures around her deliberately isolated her, turning her into a completely dependent person to easily manipulate her finances and artistic labor. When Billie passed away with a mere few cents in her account, it was a bitter irony for an artist who dedicated her all but was completely stripped of everything. The story of Billie Holiday brings a sorrowful philosophy. Sometimes the deeper and more moving the art, the more terrible personal tragedies the artist has to go through. She sang to the whole world about her pain, but no one truly listened to her cry for help against those who were slowly devastating her life day by day. Etta James. Etta James is the symbol of an explosion, a voice that could pivot from the sweet romance of At Last to the instinctive intensity of R&B. She carried the blood of resistance and a desire to assert her status. However, her journey to the peak was covered by the control of Leonard Chess and Chess Records, the place that built her reputation, but also simultaneously set up severe barriers to her personal freedom. Etta stepped into the entertainment world with a rebellious soul, but also full of voids due to the lack of family love. Leonard Chess recognized this and used it as a tool to manipulate her. From a career analysis perspective, the success of Etta James was paid for by the complete loss of autonomy. Demands for compromise to get recording and promotion time turned her into a puppet in the hands of the record label bosses. Her dependence on bad habits later on was actually a consequence of the immense pressure she had to endure daily in the recording studio. The story of Etta James brings a philosophical lesson about the struggle to reclaim ownership of oneself. After many years of being suppressed and exploited, she bravely stepped through the shadows of dependency to affirm her self-worth in the later stages of her career. Even though the wrinkles of time and traces of fatigue were clearly visible, her voice still resonated with freedom. Etta James taught us that true glamour is not about pleasing record label bosses, but when the artist dares to use their voice to break the silence about the injustices they had to endure backstage. If the pain of Etta James leaves so much lingering sorrow, the severe price the Queen of Blues right up next had to pay in exchange for the throne will make you choke up even more. Please continue to accompany us to fully understand the deepest hidden corners of the singing life. Dinah Washington. Dinah Washington is honored by posterity as one of the greatest blues and R&B voices of the 40s and 50s. With 27 hits dominating the charts, her voice carried an extraordinary inner strength containing deep thoughts capable of moving every heart. However, to be hailed as the Queen, Dinah had to walk a path paved with manipulation and harsh backstage bargains. The halo the public saw was actually just a sparkling shell, covering an inner life being eroded by the severe pressures of those holding power. Through the lens of psychology, when an artist is put in a position of having to choose between preserving their dignity and grasping the only life-changing opportunity, they often fall into a state of deep crisis. In the early years of her career, to secure expensive solo spots and favor from powerful managers, Dinah had to accept bitter compromises. The hotel doors closing after every brilliant performance night opened a world of dependency where innate talent was used as an item for exchange. She sang with all her vitality on stage, but when the velvet curtain closed, she was just a lonely woman burdened with sorrows that could not be put into words. The transformation to become a music brand named Dinah Washington required her to continuously trade her personal freedom. To maintain her exclusive status on the radio waves, her strength was drained in dense touring schedules, leading to physical and mental collapse. The audience saw a powerful queen, but few understood that that crown was forged from tears and silent sacrifice. Her sudden departure at a very young age is a sorrowful wake-up call. Fame in showbiz is sometimes a severe illusion, where the artist must use their very soul and body to light up the frames over which they are never allowed to have control. Ruth Brown. In the annals of 1950s R&B music, Ruth Brown is an unshakable monument. Her fiery, vibrant voice was the foundation that built the greatness of Atlantic Records, a place once dubbed the house that Ruth built. However, that glorious history was written with tears and ultimate exploitation. The story of Ruth Brown is an ironclad testament to the harshness of the recording industry at that time, where contracts were signed not based on fairness, but on the vulnerability of the artist. The tragedy began at a highly sensitive moment, when Ruth was confined to a hospital bed following a severe traffic incident in 1948. Instead of receiving sympathy, she had to face manipulative offers from the very heads of the record label. From a humanistic perspective, exploiting the moment a person is at their weakest and most unsteady state to force them to make compromises regarding their dignity is an act that deeply eradicates human rights. In order not to be eliminated from her musical dream, Ruth had to close her eyes and step forward. For all the years that followed, despite continuously creating a series of chart-topping hits that brought millions of dollars to the bosses, she was suffocated in a life completely controlled. However, what makes the true greatness of Ruth Brown lies not only in her voice, but in an indomitable will that refused to submit. Even though she was exploited mentally, physically, and financially, she did not let herself sink into the deep pit of sorrow. The historic legal battle in 1987, when she bravely stood up to sue the record label to demand justice and the royalties she had been stripped of, became a pioneering flag for artists' rights. Ruth Brown teaches us a priceless philosophical lesson. Backstage wounds may make you stumble temporarily, but pride and the courage to face the truth will turn that bitterness into the most brilliant metal of a human life. LaVern Baker. LaVern Baker was once a highly powerful vocalist and R&B queen with a strong magnetic pull, captivating countless audiences through iconic songs like Tweedledee Dee. She represented the strength, power, and confidence of women on stage. However, LaVern's artistic journey was a picture interwoven between the brilliant light of talent and the harsh darkness of exploitation. In the entertainment world of the 50s, Black female artists like her had to face a double pressure manipulation from those holding power in the industry and the systemic injustice of contemporary society. To gain opportunities to shine and maintain her position on the radio, LaVern had to face incredibly severe moral barriers. Coercive offers from promoters and music distributors placed her in a vortex of silent compromises. Through a psychological lens, every time she stepped into the recording studio or onto a large stage, it was a time the artist had to lock away her personal pains, putting on a radiant smile to please the public. That resentment was multiplied many times over when her passionate works were continuously and blatantly copied by white singers, raking in massive profits while she herself was bound by unfair contracts. The fatigue from an overly cold industrial system led to a landmark decision. In the late 60s, instead of continuing to brace herself to fight in an environment that did not value her core worth, LaVern Baker chose to step away from the stage lights. She gave up fame, moving all the way to the Philippines to do a humble job at a military base. To many, it was a surrender, but from a philosophical perspective, it was a great escape to reclaim freedom for her soul. She proved that the true peak of human life is not the cheering applause, but the courage to dare to let go of fake, glamorous things in exchange for peace and personal dignity. Esther Phillips. The story of Esther Phillips is one of the saddest pages in the history of R&B music. A profound warning about how cruelly the entertainment world treated talents who were far too young. Possessing a signature raspy voice deeply imbued with the emotional levels of a worldly soul, Esther stepped onto the peak of fame when she was just 15 years old. Becoming a music phenomenon is the dream of many, but for a little girl who hadn't even had time to grow up, that crown turned into a sentence that stripped away all the innocence of her childhood. When stepping into the recording studio under the guidance of men acting in the name of guardians, Esther was thrown straight into the adult world with incredibly severe rules. From a child psychology perspective, a tender soul having to bear the pressures of revenue touring schedules and even forced compromises regarding her dignity created an irreversible psychological trauma. That 15-year-old girl sang through pain-raising melodies that captivated hearts, but inside was a complete collapse of trust. The music industry did not see Esther as a child needing shelter, but saw her as a tireless, money-making machine. To run away from horrific memories and the manipulation of managers, Esther turned to stimulants as a desperate escape. From a brilliant musical prodigy, she gradually became a flickering shadow, struggling between the stage lights and addiction. The life of Esther Phillips closed at the age of 39, leaving a highly sorrowful silence. Her story is a stern indictment of the apathy of the adult world. It reminds us of a truth: no award or music record in this world is worth the pure smile and peace of a child. Mabel King. Mabel King is a name that left many deep marks in the hearts of television audiences through her humorous, kind-hearted roles in famous sitcoms like What's Happening? However, before becoming a television mother loved by millions, Mabel had gone through an incredibly arduous and tear-soaked R&B music journey. She possessed a resounding, highly powerful gospel voice, carrying a burning desire to assert herself as a solo artist. But to step from a backing vocal position to the center stage, the price to pay was beyond the imagination of a young woman. In the early 50s, as Mabel strove to find opportunities to shine, she stumbled upon the underground power barriers of promoters and club owners. They used promises of recording sessions and major shows to force her to make invisible trade-offs. Through the lens of psychology, the greatest sorrow lies not only in having to compromise, but in the fact that Despite accepting the sacrifice of dignity and enduring terrible pressures, her musical products still did not receive worthy compensation from the market. The coldness of the audience and unsuccessful recordings turned all her efforts and silent sacrifices into a hopeless wound. The harshness of the music industry forced Mabel King to make a life-altering choice. Continue sinking into despair or bravely seek another path. She chose to give up music to pivot to acting. Her hearty laughs and charm on television later brought joy to millions of families, but rarely did anyone know that hidden behind those comedic acting traits was a heart once rejected by music, leaving countless scars. Mabel King is proof of a resilient will to live. When one door closes with immense bitterness, a brave woman will open another door herself, using laughter to bandage the pains that the world will never truly understand. Big Maybelle. Hailed as the Queen of Blues, Big Maybelle possessed an explosive voice capable of shaking every auditorium right from the very first notes. She carried a massive physical presence and an incredibly authoritative performance demeanor, making the audience always mistakenly think she was an iron woman whom nothing could knock down. However, the most sorrowful contrast lay right behind the velvet curtain of the stage. A woman who could breathe fire before tens of thousands of audiences was also a person completely helpless and vulnerable before the harsh agreements of the recording industry. Her breakthrough with the song Gabbin' Blues was not a free gift from the creator. To step from an unknown singer at small clubs to the peak of fame, Big Maybelle had to face Fred Mendelssohn, a powerful man from OK Records. Through the lens of psychological analysis, manipulators are often incredibly adept at breaking an artist's self-esteem, making them believe that their talent is worthless without the dispensation of the bosses. To secure a life-changing opportunity, she had to close her eyes and accept humiliating trade-offs in closed rooms, using her very dignity to buy precious recording hours. The tragedy of Big Maybelle did not stop at physical compromise. To maintain her sanity and soothe the unspoken resentments, she was pushed by her own managers down the path of dependency on stimulants. They used it as a tool to control her, squeezing out her last bits of vitality in exchange for radio hits. When the halo faded, she was mercilessly discarded. The passing in poverty and destitution at the age of 47 of this queen is an incredibly stern indictment. It leaves a deep reflection on human value. The stage lights can deceive the eyes of the world, but they can never cover up the severity of a system that always views artists as nothing more than money-making tools. Gladys Bentley. During the Harlem Renaissance era, Gladys Bentley was a uniquely unparalleled phenomenon. She appeared before the public in a masculine tuxedo, with a majestic figure and a liberated free performance style, daring to break all gender norms of the time. She was a symbol of pride, representing souls who dared to live true to their identity amidst a society full of prejudice. The audience adored her for her authenticity and courage. Yet behind that proud rebellion was a sorrowful truth about long days of having her dignity systematically trampled upon. To maintain her leading position at prestigious nightclubs, Gladys had to bow her head before powerful bosses. From a social philosophy perspective, the most brutal aspect of prejudice lies not only in people rejecting you, but in their using power to force you to do things that go completely against your nature. The long nights of being forced to participate in physical compromises were not just physical trauma, but a severe destruction to a soul always yearning for freedom. Every round of applause from the audience seemed to become a sharp reminder, deepening the humiliation she had to grit her teeth and endure backstage. The climax of the tragedy occurred in the 50s when the conservative wave rose high. To protect her livelihood and avoid the punishment of public opinion, Gladys was forced to throw away her iconic tuxedo, put on feminine dresses, and marry a man to create a perfect cover. For a person who was once a pioneering flag for freedom to now have to personally bury her own identity in exchange for survival was a pain beyond endurance. Closing her life in silence and oblivion, Gladys Bentley left a highly agonizing human lesson. The harshest part of human life is sometimes not death itself, but having to live the rest of one's life under an unfamiliar mask, permanently losing the proud ego that one used their entire youth to protect. Victoria Spivey. Victoria Spivey was one of the voices that shaped the identity of 1920s blues music. With the classic song Black Snake Blues, she shook an entire generation, bringing a wild, gritty, and highly narrative type of music. Like so many black female artists of her time, the door entering the professional recording path for Victoria was not paved with roses, but was scattered with the traps of exploitation. When stepping from a street singer at smoke-filled taverns into the quiet office of Paramount Records, she had to face an agreement with no room for refusal. In psychology, the most desperate feeling for a young person is when they realize their greatest dream in life is being used as bait by those holding the power of life and death. Victoria understood that refusing the sensitive offers from the producers meant permanently burying her singing voice at the bottom of society. She chose to compromise, closing her eyes and stepping through the humiliations in exchange for the moments allowed to stand before a microphone. The song Black Snake Blues exploded on the market, bringing fame and money to the bosses, but what Victoria received in return was only physical and mental depletion. Every signed contract was a time she personally handed herself over to the prison cage of exploitation. Yet what makes the greatness of Victoria Spivey lies not in the pain she endured, but in an incredibly powerful awakening. In 1929, instead of continuing to be a puppet in the hands of others, she made a historical decision, founding her own record label, Spivey Records. From a business philosophy and human rights perspective, this was a revolution. She held her own music copyrights, determined her own fate, and paved the way for other artists. The life of Victoria Spivey is a beautifully epic song. Even if crushed to the very bottom of the dark mud, a brave woman can still use her own scars as material to personally build an empire where she is the only queen. Fay Adams. Fay Adams was a brilliant but incredibly brief shooting star in the 1950s R&B sky. From a girl singing hymns at small churches, Fay shot to fame as a phenomenon with the song Shake a Hand dominating the throne of the R&B charts for 10 consecutive weeks. Her voice was described as having the ability to pierce through the soul, carrying the purity of religion blended with the rawness of life. Yet behind that rapid ascent was a highly fierce internal tearing, a persistent battle between sacred faith and the harsh temptations of the earthly realm. To step from the church pulpit onto the glamorous stages of nightclubs, Fay had to face the unwritten rules of the game of the entertainment world. When the recording opportunity at the prestigious Atlantic Records was offered, it came with demands forcing her to abandon her own dignity. Through the lens of religious psychology analysis, for a person who used to sing to praise the divine to now have to use her very body to satisfy worldly men was a horrific collapse of faith. She gained fame, gained lifetime hits, but every night returning to face herself, the obsession with guilt and impurity choked the female singer's heart. Fay Adams's R&B career burned brilliantly, but lasted a mere few years, when realizing that the price of fame was the decay of the soul. She made an incredibly brave choice, abandoning all the glamour of showbiz to return to gospel music, seeking peace at the sanctuary doors. Her decision carries a profound philosophical meaning. No peak of fame in this world can be traded for the peace of conscience. Fay Adams teaches us a lesson about letting go. Sometimes the greatest victory of human life is not how many admiring gazes you conquer, but knowing when to stop at the right time to protect the purity of your soul. Christine Kittrell. Closing this list of 15 haunting figures is Christine Kittrell, a vocalist deeply loved by countless audiences on the Chitlin circuit, the small dilapidated stages exclusively for black artists in the American South. She possessed a sweet, rustic, and incredibly powerful voice. Christine's greatest desire was to break beyond the boundaries of local clubs to touch the national sky. Yet her artistic path was a sorrowful testament to a harsh truth. Sometimes, even if you sacrifice everything you have, the world still will not open its doors to welcome you. To secure rare recording opportunities at local record labels, Christine also could not escape the severe rules of silent agreements. She had to grit her teeth and accept the trampling of her dignity by producers and club owners with the naive belief that this trade-off would eventually be rewarded with a worthy position under the stage lights. Through the lens of psychology, the greatest sorrow of a human being is not the sacrifice itself, but when that sacrifice becomes completely meaningless. Despite compromising her dignity, her records still could not reach the vast ocean. The halo only brushed past her life like a passing breeze, leaving behind a shattered soul and faded ambitions. When realizing the ultimate injustice of the entertainment world, Christine Kittrell did not choose to slide down in bitterness. She quietly left the stage, tucked her singing voice deep into her memories, and put on the white blouse of a nurse. From a humanistic perspective, this is an incredibly great ending. A woman carrying countless wounds from being exploited by society ultimately chose to spend the rest of her life soothing and healing the pain of others. The transformation of Christine Kittrell closes this list with an incredibly warm message. When the stage of life rejects you, find another haven for yourself. The value of a person does not lie in how many people cheer for them, but lies in the legacies of love and kindness they quietly give away to the world. Closing these 15 heartbreaking lives, we understand even more the severe price of the halo and further cherish the dignity and extraordinary willpower of these great women. We wish you always have truly peaceful, warm moments filled with laughter around your family dinner table. Please do not forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell to continue receiving meaningful stories from our memory vault. Goodbye and see you again.